Good evening, everybody. A long time from seeing everyone. Chris, welcome back. How you doing?
All right, I'm doing very good, Mr. McKenzie. How are you?
Good. This one will be a short, focus type shop talk. We're kind of changing the format here. We're making short, concise videos, right to the point, to find it easy and make it easier for replay when people are looking at this in the future. So, unfortunate news, we are dealing with the fourth wave of COVID. And of course, recently last weekend, we got new health restrictions across Alberta. So how does that affect us being landlords? Let's have that conversation right now. And Chris, we'll go through the recent public health orders and discuss the merits, what we need to be aware of. And as well, we'll talk about some of these common tenant objections that we'll probably see because of this health order. But folks, if you've seen one of these chats before, I know Rob Bowe did a lot of homework for us in the past, talking to AHS and whatnot. The theme is going to be very similar to that. So without further ado, let's get into it. So I'll start off and actually just show you guys how to find this information. So I'm going to do a quick screen share here. You guys can really search anything. I'll just go with Alberta health orders. And what we're looking for is right here, orders and legislation. So on this page, the key thing that we guys are looking for are the active public health orders. And there's two that we're going to be looking at today. So orders 43 and 42 of 2021. So let's talk about order 43, which it was all about the restriction exemption program, which actually doesn't affect us. And there's a lot of confusion around that. So right with me, I've got half a tree I cut down to print off some documentation, is the follow-up document that our government of Alberta sent out to clarify the restrictions exemption program. Some key takeaways for us is, well, quickly right at the top, it doesn't affect us. And here's why. So the restriction exemption program is an optional program, and operators who choose not to participate may continue, but must operate fully implemented of all public health restrictions as outlined in the CMOH, or Chief Medical Officer of Health Order 42-2021. Okay. So, and it's not intended for employers or contractors attending workspaces. So we're just going to leave that at that. It doesn't affect us. And then I will clarify that in the health order that's more important, which is health order number 42 of this year in 2021, our 2021 COVID-19 response. It's a lovely document of about 20-ish pages. So going through the table of contents, it talks about the applications, definitions, masking, physical distancing, a bunch of other stuff. It takes effect on September 16th. So, last weekend. It has one part here on the application part, says if there's inconsistencies in this application, then if there's a conflict with this and health orders 37 and 38, those take precedence. Just so you guys know, for reference, those two health orders don't actually have anything to do with us. One's talking about the restriction of staff movement, and the other talks about the COVID response. You know what? I actually made shortcuts for these. I should get on this. Let me see. So 37, here you go. Order 37 of 2021 outlines updates operational outbreak standards for healthcare and long-term living settings. Okay, so not relevant at all. And then order 38 outlines rule for staff movement among healthcare facilities. Perfect. We don't have to take those into consideration. So out of this entire document, what we're really concerned about is part 6 of the health order. So if we jump down to page 11, and I will share where you guys can find this information later, is private residences, which is what's key here. Now, the wording is almost completely identical to our last health order when we first had the discussion. So section 6.1. So okay, let me start again. Part 6, private residences, 6.1. Subject to the next following sections, so 6.3, 6.4, and 6.5 of this order, a person who resides in a private residence must not permit a person who does not normally reside in that residence to enter or remain in the residence. So that's basically saying you can't let people in your house if they're not part of your COVID, they're not fully vaccinated, all that kind of stuff. However, in section 6.2, there's the exceptions are the following. And if you go down to 6.2 Part A, to provide healthcare services, personal care, or housekeeping services. And then you go down to Section E to perform construction, renovations, repairs, or maintenance. So again, if you're sending a trade-in to repair a property. And then lastly, Section G to provide real estate or move-in services. And that there, right, folks, is our key. As landlords, we're part of the real estate business. We are considered an essential service. You have the right to enter your property to perform any landlording duties. So that's the big thing. And then as I talked about that other exemption program, it says right here, going back to the very end of this health order, part 14, I'll just kind of paraphrase what it's saying here. Notwithstanding this order, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, and does it say, exemptions under the government restriction exemption program, but we've already clarified that's not applicable in our scenario because we're not an establishment business like a restaurant or storefront that has to monitor ongoing traffic. So that's kind of it. I chopped a few trees for you there, Chris, to get through all of that, and I had actually made a bunch of additional talking points here, but we'll flip through these headlines quickly. Your 2 cents on this as I just unpacked what we just read.
Well, let's go to one of the discussions that was on the page earlier, and I know I had some messenger messages, and here it is. The one person says, "I'm leaving." I gave the one tenant gave notice that they're leaving at the end of October, and you now as a landlord received it, and they said, "Great." Then they go ahead and book a viewing, and your tenant says, "Yeah, I'm not comfortable with coming in with COVID." Okay, so what are your rights? That's the question, putting it out there. What are your rights as a landlord, and what are their rights as a tenant? Interesting dilemma. By the regulations and the rules that we just put out there, simply if you read the rules, and even I think you have an email there from Rob that he dug out from the minister or from
we do.
Service Alberta, did he not? Yeah,
is one of our partners on the page. He's an eviction expert for those of you who don't know him, out of Central Alberta, Red Deer, and he did a lot of groundwork. This would have been probably at the height of last year when we were locked down, and had spoken to a few officials in AHS, getting clarity around the last health order, which basically takes from verbatim, has added a bit more detail, but from our perspective as landlords, the wording is the exact same. We are exempted because we're an essential service, and we have the right to enter the properties to do landlording. So that's viewings, to do inspections, to do repairs, trades, all those things, right? If you so all that's encompassed in health order. This is the big one right here. Health order 42, folks. If you're going to start quoting things, this is the one you want. I suggest printing it off and highlighting those sections. After this call, I will highlight one and rescan and upload it to our site. So I'll put it on Facebook as well over on Mighty Networks. We actually have a COVID section in our Mighty Networks too that has all this information filed, including that email that you just brought up, Chris.
And if you're not a part of our Mighty Networks, you'll want to join that, and you can access a lot of extra information that we really can't get onto Facebook for you. So now we move to this, and you say, so now you've got this tenant. What are you going to do? How are you going to get in there? I know what my play would be, but what are your thoughts? I'm going to kind of put the question back to you, Mac. We haven't got a lot of people that interacting yet, so hopefully
that's fine. This is supposed to be short and to the point, right? So no problem.
Yeah. So what would be your play on that?
So let's just repeat the question for clarity. So you're asking me, I've got a tenant that's has given me that they're moving out. They've given me notice. I'm trying to come in to get ready for photos. Am I trying to get ready for a viewing? What am I requesting access for, Chris?
Your access because you're going to show it now. You've listed it.
Okay. So I've listed it, and I've got and I've scheduled a viewing, and I've given the notice, and the tenant says no. Well, it depends. If I can, I would probably have a phone call, and I would send them this paperwork explaining our legal right, and hopefully that's enough to convince them and get them off the fence and allow you to continue on doing your landlording business. If they're more stubborn, I think, Chris, you probably have a solution for that. What would be your approach if that doesn't work? My diplomacy
Well,
fails.
I think there diplomacy. I like that. Yeah, I'm the bit of the bull in the china shop, but I do defer to Mac's more diplomacy approach to things. And when that fails, I certainly can do the other part. But at this point, I also, and I haven't had to use it yet, but I do believe there are some virtual viewings, ways of doing things. Have you played that?
I have.
Matt?
I have done that, and I think I even have a video talking about it somewhere. But certainly, yeah, you could come in solely as yourself. Of course, let's mask up. I mean, obviously, if you've got a health condition that prevents you from doing that, then by all means. But I mean, let's be respectful. Come in masked up. Respect the current rules, and you could do a virtual video. So I've done that on my listings. I've got a video that it's like a 45-second video, and it just starts from the front door, and I walk through the house, and I pan through every room so they can get a very easy, very good understanding of what the house looks like without even seeing it. So it really qualifies the people before I get to the step of bringing someone live or into the house. So I have had tenants want to rent it virtually based on that information. So that is an option. But if you are going to go down and still want to show it in person because they are local, maybe they're not out of town, and they're being a stiffler, what would you do next, Chris? I think you've got the answer for this one.
Yeah. Well, I'll just back up just a hair in that. If you have, everybody should have a folder with your pictures of your place, so you don't have to really. If you're going to show things, you don't have to go in and take photos. And we get a lot of questions on here. Can I take photos with the tenant stuff in there? Well, my question back to the landlord would be, why don't you have an empty place photos? I have every one of my places has ready. I just have to go and click, and boom, they're up on Kijiji, and I use the same photos every time.
Well, so
the place doesn't change. So
yeah, I'm going to riff on that, Chris. So if you're new to the game and you just bought a property, copy the pictures off the rental ad before the ad or before the MLS listing, before it goes down, because they're usually professional pictures and they look really good. If it's a private residence, hopefully you take the pictures before you got the tenants in place. But let's say the property didn't look very good and you already got a renter in, and that renter has done a nice job and has some nice decor. Certainly ask them. And it is their private information. The big thing is about it's family pictures and pictures of that identify people in the background is a touching point. It's not so much the furniture or the rug that they've got that I'm more concerned of. But have that conversation and ask for the permission.
Right. And same thing too, if you're going to have, because we already know what are we 18, 20 months into COVID now. So if you get the chance to do a video and upload a video to your hard drive that you can keep, and then you could just send them. So then you can have a very nice little virtual video ready to go saying, yep, here's the place, have a look. And you're good to go. And you can do that on a Google shared drive. If it's too big of a file to email, there's lots of ways you can do this. So now let's go to the real hard case. The tenant says, no, you're not coming in, and the people, and just there, you're saying, well, yes, I can. Here's all the reasons I come in. They say, no, you're not. So my position on that is, you've tried all the other things; they're not working. But how what's the real push to get in there? Is if you absolutely have to get in, and it's detrimental to your business, and it becomes an interfering in how you run your business, then you know what? If you go to Section 23 of the Act, entering on the premises, sorry, not 23, landlord covenant, tenant covenants, where they're interfering with the rights of a landlord. And this is the play I would do. Whether it's right, whether it's wrong, it's still a play. See how it goes, and that would be serving the tenant with an eviction notice. You find out on the 3rd, they're going to be difficult. They're not going to let you come take those pictures because you didn't have them. They're not willing to take pictures. It's just worst case scenario. Then they're interfering with your rights to run your business. There's nothing supporting their position right now in legislation or public health orders. I'd issue a 14-day notice, and you know what, interfering with the rights of the landlord. You're certainly going to get their attention really quick. And if that continues on, I don't know if this will work. I would certainly be willing to try it. I would have a good chat with Rob and Don, myself, and I would play it. I would keep their damage deposit for loss of income, and that's a financial damages and hardship. Not sure. I'm not sure if it worked, but it's a play, and let them challenge you back on it. And
that's worst case too.
That's worst case. That absolutely worst case. So now you're going into the month of November unrented. You've been in a battle with them. You can't get them in. You can't do virtuals. You can't get your pictures. There's too many boxes being checked of what you can't do. I would give a statement of account, and the reason you're keeping the damage deposit is for damages and their financial damages, not
unable to rent the property and perform your landlord duties, for sure. So that covers handling some of that. Let's talk about, Chris, some of the common objections I'm guessing we'd see out there. And I see we got a couple folks on there. We've got Bill from Lethbridge. Hey, Bill, thanks for joining us. And Tawana too. Thanks for joining us too. I do appreciate it. So feel free to ask questions right now. Get them queued up while we go. So we're going to probably end the show here in the next couple of minutes. But I did throw something up here. So common tenant objections. The biggest one that comes to my mind is my tenant is asking me for my vaccine records. Interesting. Well, that's what everyone's doing. There's this exemption program out there right now. Businesses are forcing people to show proof of vaccination before they can enter property, go to the Flames game, Edmonton Oilers, wherever you're from. How does that pertain? Well, we actually actually answered that already in our paperwork. Chris, do you want to highlight how that plays out?
No, I'd like you to ask me that question as what would you do, Chris?
What would you do, Chris, in this scenario if your tenant wants to see your vaccination records?
I actually look at that as, is it a hill to die on? You know what?
Sure.
I downloaded the Alberta vaccine thing, that PDF, and I have it, and I look at it. There's nothing on there that's devastating to my personal information. And the question I would pose to them, I said, so what if I show you that? What's your position after I show you that? If I'm going to show it to you? And they say, well, then if you're vaccinated, I'll let you in. Boom, there it is. Okay, they've committed to letting you in. You've shown your card. So what? It's a power play on their part, but they just lost because you had the answer. Yeah. So now the power is back. The power is back in yours.
You solve the problem of access to the property within 5 minutes with a piece of paper, as opposed to going down the eviction route, or where I'm quoting law at them where they believe me or not, right? They may just ignore me, then I have to go down filing for eviction and all that business. So, and that's exactly it. No, you're bang on. I totally agree with you. I mean, so it's a personal choice. That's just our opinion. So you guys are certainly entitled to your own. The legal side of it. So we're not a part of the event. Tongue tie myself today. The restrictions exemption program. We're not part of it. Therefore, you're not obligated to show your proof of vaccine. You can if you want. Might make your business easier. So totally a personal call as yourself on the landlord. And so here, and then here's the question. And what if you don't? Well, then you may have a tenant pushing you hard, not letting you into your property. What's the alternative? And that'd be the question back to the individual asking this question. If you don't show your vaccine record and they're asking for it, you don't legally have to, but you may have just extended the challenges of getting into your property with this tenant fighting you. So pick and choose your battles, right? As Chris put out quite clear.
Yep, and you can. You know what? At the end of the day, it's what hill do you want to die on? And if they think they're controlling you and they have the power over you, well, you know what? Sometimes just giving somebody what they're asking for, but confirm. If I do this, what are you going to do for me? And okay, boom, here it is.
Yep,
done. You've taken their power away over you, and it's good to go. Now so there's another question came up.
They respond back was, it's my business. I own the home. It's then my choice. Well, it's yes and no. It's your choice, but then that tenant, you also have a tenant renting a house from which is their primary residence, and they may choose to fight you on it. Again, do you want to have, you got to take it in context of the relationship that you have with that tenant. So, I mean, if you've got a great relationship with your tenant, I'd be comfortable again showing that information if they even ask for it. They might not even ask for it. If they do provide the vaccine record objection, I've looked at mine. I went and got vaccinated. I don't have a problem showing it. If you don't want to show that, then the alternative is you go through the paperwork I just talked about with this public health order, health order number 42 that we've been talking about, which I'll throw back up on the page here. It's
and then sorry, Mac, I'm just going to, while you're looking that up. So then you go back to, so now you've gone, you showed them that, and they still deny you, and you're still saying, hey, it's my house and my business, my rights. Well, you know, at the end of the day, if you're trying to push yourself to the door, the police are going to grab you by the back of your neck. They're going to drag you out, and they're going to tell you you can't do that. And now it becomes a civil battle where, again, this is a battle of wills. Which hill are you wanting to die on? Show them the thing. And if you're not vaccinated, then their next route will have to be that harder step. Here's your 14-day eviction notice because you're interfering with the rights of the landlord. Again, I don't know how hard you want to push, but if we're preparing for this now, like we're talking about now, preparation ahead, having videos ready to go, having photos ready to go, and most of this can be done virtually, and you have a nice place, you want to rent it, it should work for you.
Definitely. I actually dropped the link into the YouTube chat. If you guys are curious and seeing what my virtual walkthrough looks like, it's all there. So feel free to take a look at it. I'm happy to answer some questions about setting those up too. So, folks, if there's any other questions, we'll leave the open for another 30 seconds here to get a question if you want. If not, I think, Chris, we've gotten this point out really well. So what we'll do after the show, everyone, is I'm going to mark up or highlight the existing orders and upload those PDFs and have them already highlighted for you. I'll save you some of the legwork. Please review it though, so you have your talking points when you go and speak to your tenant. Also, I'll link directly to the AHS website where it has the public health order, or sorry, Government of Alberta. Okay, we do have another question here. So I do appreciate that you have solutions. I usually like to work for worst case scenarios. Thanks. Yeah, no, absolutely. And then we appreciate you challenging us because, you know, those scenarios, while they are not as common, they certainly can happen. So you're very welcome, Facebook user. I'm sure we'll see your name when we hop back onto the Facebook page after. So, all right, yeah, folks.
And I just want to echo what Mac had said. You know, putting these questions out there helps us work around, comes with some workarounds as a group. And, you know, where someone comes in, you know, you feel, hey, this is my property, your chest is out and your feathers are fluffed up and you're saying, hey, wait a minute, you know, I would say, well, just a sec, you just need that independent advice. And you know what, I'll be honest with you guys. I'll call Mac up and have a chat with him because he's a little more finesse than I am with the words. I'll say, Mac, this is what it's, and he goes, well, Chris, let's talk about that for a minute. And then on the other side of it, Mac will come, he's frustrated because he's done his diplomacy and so what I do now, Chris, I said, here we go. Here's the ABCs of it.
I need some enforcement, Chris. Exactly.
Yeah, we complement each other pretty good. So you know what? Coming on to this page, putting out your questions like this, and it helps all of us either simmer us down or pump us up because we don't have the courage to say no. And we've helped how many people? You know, over the summer months, we've had lots of people checking in with us saying, you know, I'm in this bind. What do I do? I don't feel good about this. We're saying, hey. And I'll go back to what this user said. It's my business and I own the home. Great. We want to give you that confidence. You're a business person. It's your property. All right, here's the ABCs of it. Diplomacy is not working. Let's stand up for yourself. And you know what? If you can get that courage from what we offer you on this page, that's what our end goal is here. So.
Perfect. You froze and you came back, but you ended it nicely, Chris. That's awesome. I will probably just add in the last point here. If you guys want some wording or how to position this conversation with your tenants, it's just say, you know, look, Mr. Tenant, I need to look after this place, so it's for your well-being. I can't have the property getting damaged. If I need to go in and fix plumbing for you, replace the furnace, check furnace filters, all these things, I do need that access. I'm actually considered essential service, so I am obligated due to the law of the RTA, Residential Tenancy Act, to come in and help you guys out. So it's in all of our best interest for you to allow me access. And if they usually start that conversation on that tone that you're trying to help them out by maintaining the property, 99% of the tenants are happy with that because they have a proactive landlord looking after a property, and they have a quality and safe place to call home. So
great.
Perfect.
All right, on. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, you guys. It's a little bit shorter show. I did say 15 minutes. We did a little bit extended Q&A and our opinions on the matter. So I hope it helps out. We'll post some links and some documentation after for you guys. Good luck landlording. And as always, ask questions in our community, as we're all here to help each other. We'll see you guys next time.
Take care, everyone.